Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. I'm gonna make this video a bit more relaxed, a bit more calming. I'm gonna start off by saying, how's everyone doing? How's everything going? It's Jesus with another video, right? We'll see where this takes us. The first thing I'd like to point out is that when I speak in a very authoritative way, a very righteous kind of warrior way, I lose a lot of people. If I was to speak like an angry gangster, right, an angry gangsta with an A, or either way, right, E-R or A, I would lose a lot of people. But when I sound more like, when I sound like Chris Rock, a little bit more mature than that, then everyone seems to understand what I'm saying. So let me say this way. I've lived in California almost my entire life, okay? Hardly went anywhere else. And I've lived in Northern California almost my entire life. I was in Southern California for reform school and boarding school for, some time, okay? And I'm used to Morgan Hill. I'm used to San Jose. I'm somewhat used to San Francisco. I'm used to Santa Cruz. These are places I've been a lot. You know what I mean? Now, again, I'm shunned here, and I have a certain resentment for the community. I got a certain love for the community, a certain resentment because of the pecking order game people play. So if I was to move to, say, Wisconsin, okay, and to a town that's comparable to Morgan Hill, but there's no San Jose by it, no Santa Cruz, no San Francisco within a certain driving distance, what have you, okay, I would not be comfortable unless I had a gorgeous female, okay, say I went back to, drinking and say I was smoking weed or something, okay, and I'm like, okay, so it takes some getting used to, but I got a hot chick, right, and I'm going to be, making love to her and listen to music and smoking and drinking, and I got a certain, income and so on and so forth, I'm not going to get used to it, right? If you move me there without knowing anybody, if I just went there by myself, hey, let me just see who I can recruit, and, say a couple months go by and I'm being shunned, and say 6 months, even a year goes by, I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing in Fuckville, Wisconsin, being shunned still, while people aren't hearing me out? The same with Michigan, Oklahoma, it's fucking the same with New York City. You see what I'm saying? And most people would understand immediately. Now here's where it gets a little funny. People act like sniveling toads on the issue of attraction, right? At one point I was the most attractive person that ever lived. Okay, Psalm 45 agrees with me. Again, Psalm 45 agrees with me. It says you're the most excellent of men. I think it's the New Living Translation says the most handsome of men, right? Handsome, hand of God, that righteousness showing through. Okay, your racial preference should not transcend the idea of righteousness showing through. Imagine something better than, the cartoons, infinitely better than that, more mature, adult, masculine, right? Authentic, not neo-colonial. Okay. It's like if it was females, it's far beyond Belle from Beauty and the Beast compared to Cruella de Vil. That inner beauty just complemented my top martial arts shape and then the certain face that goes with it, and just boom, unbelievably attractive. Now, why am I saying this? Because I should have attractive women tripping over each other to date me. If they were raised right, they'd say that guy's the most righteous person, like Martin Luther King said, by the content of the character and not the color of their skin, and they'd be tripping over each other. You see what I'm saying? Now, an unattractive guy, because society sabotaged him, okay, cannot say the same thing. However, they didn't really go the distance to be righteous. They didn't do martial arts, which was the most demanding thing, with all their heart for God Almighty. So they're not that attractive. Can they then turn around and say, hey, hey, you and me both, pal? No, because we're not in the same category. I'm Christ, and at one point I was the most handsome person ever. And I'm significantly reduced since then. Okay, that's how I got to this point. You got to whatever point you're at from not trying to serve God, for not sticking up for women, for not being uncontrolled opposition, for just being sabotaged as the average guy from the average family, almost certainly from a long line of people that didn't try hard to serve God, when I'm from a long line of people that did. You see what I'm saying? So for me to be denied that, and to be different and sabotaged for doing what's right, and then to move, what's going to happen? I'm going to feel alienated. And some racist, person in the government might say, hey, that's what you get when you don't do what we say or whatever. But that's called being a dumb fucking idiot, uneducated, ignorant piece of shit. That's not called being right. People with sense would not agree with that person. People with sense and a lot of heart, like Jesus rebuking the Pharisees, like Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars rebuking Vader, like Yoda rebuking the Emperor, would have some words from him and say, look, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay? He's the most righteous person. What's wrong with you? Were you raised in a barn, buddy? Hello? You see what I'm saying? And so, I'm enduring all this psychological abuse that I shouldn't have to because of people's bad. For example, when a female's married to a guy and she fucking like, oh my God, I ruined your suit. He's like, well, do me sexual favors or something to make up for it. There's no problem there. People in a gang, right? They say, well, sleep with this guy, you just got out of the pen. Almost certainly no problem. There's no significant resistance. People in the sex cult. People in the military. Okay? Sleeping with their superior officers out of reverence and so on and so forth. But when it comes to the Son of God, you could hear a fucking, you couldn't hear a church mouse. Okay? You couldn't hear shit. No complaints. No one protested. Everyone's like, we're just too busy doing what the devil and pedophiles and their allies say. Everyone raised their daughters wrong. So whether I'm in my hometown or I'm abroad, the problem has to do with abroad and why they become abroad instead of a beautiful woman on the narrow path, beautiful inside and out, virtuous and worthy of the King of Kings. If they're not even smart enough to scramble to present themselves, they're an unworthy heifer, slut, piece of shit that is unworthy to even be called a bitch. What the fuck wouldn't people understand about that?